Today, we speak with Tilyenji Kaunda, aka TJ Kaunda, one of the 6 children of Zambia's first president, Kenneth Kaunda, affectionately known simply as Father KK. We will learn a bit more on what it was like growing up as a son of a prominent African leader, with a father who ruled Zambia from 1964 to 1991. TJ will share some fond memories of his dad and the first leader of Zambia. Let us get started with our discussion with TJ Kaunda on Tandala with Dr. Ayan. Welcome to another episode of Tandala with Dr. Ayan. Today I am blessed and graced with the presence with Tilyenji Kaunda, affectionately known as TJ Kaunda, who happens to be the son, the DNA of history, the founder of Kenneth Kaunda, the father of Zambia. So TJ, thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with you. I was honored to meet you a couple of weeks ago, and I'm very grateful again that you agreed to talk with me and our audience of 200 and something thousand Zambians that are going to be watching this interview. Now I know next month, you're welcome. Next month is the month that honors your father, the father of Zambia. And in conversations that I have with other people, even an interview that was done on me recently on radio, I mentioned how the biggest favor that happened across the culture of Zambia is the phrase that your father kind of hovered across the country all these decades. One Zambia, one nation, right?
Yes.
And words are power. And you know African history.
Yes,
right?
a little
So you
bit.
know African
Yes,
history.
yes.
So with vestiges of colonialism around, these type of terms that kind of saturated into the culture really have an effect on how the country is. Zambia is one of the most peaceful countries in all of sub-Saharan Africa. And I think your dad had a lot to do with it. So today, I want to talk about what it was like growing up as TJ in the household of the first president of Zambia. So first tell us a little more about you.
Okay. First of all, in the family there were 9 kids.
Wow.
9 children. And we're blessed with 2 girls. And we really spoiled them because my parents wept. First boy, Panji, was a boy. So, second born, Waza, came out a boy. Third born, Wezi, it was still a chiboy coming out. Fourth born, me, boy. Then came Masuzio, another boy.
Wow.
And then finally, I think it was a girl finally. No, Kaweche, another boy. So that's 6 boys.
6 boys back to back.
So my parents almost gave up hope now. And literally weeping. Finally, the princess came and sat. And we adored her and we spoiled her. Can you imagine? We used to fight, be the one to change her nappies.
Yes.
She was that. And then came the twins, boy and a girl. And then my parents adopted Chola, our last brother. That's why he calls Chola, because Chola means the last one. So he came along. And so we're a team of 10 children. But we grew up, the first 1, 2, 3, 4, up to Kaweche, were born in Tilyenji. That's near Woodlands. It was a township for Africans. And there are 2 houses there that we stayed in. The last one we stayed in now, a national monument.
Yes.
But it was where as children we had fun. in
Yeah.
Tilyenji because, you know, there were no walls there.
Yeah.
And we knew all our neighbors.
Yeah.
And in fact, we used to even eat in our neighbors' houses.
Yes.
I remember our neighbors, the Bandas, and I had a friend there my age, Lawrence. And I remember the first Quaker oats I ate in the 60s was in their house. Their mom was lovely. And she must have liked me because she would invite me for meals, you know, so.
But this is some of the things I want all of us to learn about you today.
Yes.
Is take us back in time and tell us what an average day looked like with your dad and mom and your siblings. How old were
Yes.
you when he was reigning president?
Oh, okay. That's a huge jump. That comes to 1964.
That's taking you way back.
1964, I was 10 years old
Yeah.
when he became president. Before that, for about a year, he was the prime minister. Then he became president.
Yeah.
And I was 10 years old. The biggest change is that we moved from our schools in Tilyenji, which were then African schools, they were for black people, and moved to a white school, which was in Woodlands. And it was the first impact that we didn't speak English. There's no English school. So I should have been in grade 5, but I had to repeat. I should be in grade 6, but I had to be grade 5 so I could learn English.
Okay.
So that took 1 year to learn the English. You know, kids learn languages easily. So within 1 year, by the time we were in grade 7, we were okay with English.
How were you treated? What was that experience like, being taken away from an African-centered school, and now, because your dad is president, to a English school?
The biggest transition is that we could feel, even that time there was the segregation, you could feel it between the white kids and the black kids. Okay? I think we're still learning to be friends with one another. In fact, right now, I don't remember being friends with any white kid.
Was there a level of respect, at least from them, that you were the children of a dignitary?
Not that I was aware of.
Because you were 10.
I was 10 years old, and then also we didn't grow up, okay, our parents didn't just grow up saying we are so and so. And we knew as present kids, there were no restrictions, there was no security, nothing like that. The fence around State House was a little 3-foot barbed wire fence. So we couldn't even go over it and go and play with friends. So there was that freedom, and there wasn't that feeling that you are present kids.
Yes.
We're not aware of that feeling that we're different.
Yes.
Okay, we still played with our friends. Of course, we moved away from the warm environment in the township. Now we're a bit lonely because the only friends you could get are the ones at school.
Yeah.
So you didn't have neighbors. But we still interacted because what happened is that there was the people who worked at State House had houses within the area, and we felt free to go and see them.
Okay.
So we had friends, but there were people from the workers' compound.
So you didn't
So that's okay.
necessarily feel any very bad negative experiences that lingered?
No.
Okay, that's
Because
good to know.
we're being kids and wanted to play.
Right.
That's what it is.
Right. Okay,
So
so what is your earliest memory of your father?
that's a good one. That's a very good one.
Or
Okay,
at least
I-
two or
I-
three things that
Yeah.
stand out about your father when you were young.
Okay, one thing I know is that that I remember is that he was very warm all the time. Okay, he was a loving dad. He wasn't there all the time, but when he came home, he was a loving dad. And the strange thing that he didn't talk to
But what does that
us-
look like when you say he was a loving dad?
He,
What does
he
that
didn't
look like?
he didn't talk to me like I was a kid, for instance. He treated me as he talked to me as if I was an adult. There was that respect. Okay, that was there, and I think that also he was a disciplinarian, and also he made sure that we went to church.
Yeah.
There was that, but the one thing I remember is that he didn't spare the belt. He didn't spare the belt when people did wrong, but I don't remember him beating me with a belt.
Yeah.
But my mom whacked me with a mulberry switch.
Yeah.
Okay, but because she was quick, with when you did something wrong, she whacked you.
Yeah.
But I don't remember him ever beating me. He beat the other kids. Okay, but not that I was a good kid, but I just didn't get beat.
Yeah.
So I remember that part, and I wish you talked to my brother. He'd tell you about some stories about how I narrowly escaped a beating because I wasn't seen.
Yeah.
Okay, in doing bad things. That's all. So, and one thing I remember also is that, and I was still 10 years old in State House, and he called me to his office. Because that time the offices were right in the State House building. He called me to his office, and he sat me in front of him, he had this nice, huge desk, presidential desk, and he told me that I don't want you ever saying that you're a president's child or mentioning my name. He said, there's only one president in this country, and that's me. I don't want you two presidents running around saying I'm president. So I remember that when he said, if you want to make something for yourself, you go make something for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, but don't ever. And if you commit a crime, I won't lift one little finger to save you. You will go to jail. So
he was a disciplinarian. He was a very direct communicator.
Yes. He believed in justice and fair play.
At one point during your youth, did you realize, wow, my dad is a leader. He's president. When did that really sink in with you? I know you were 10 when he became.
Yes. I think growing up, we didn't feel anything special. Of course, there was the trappings of state. You lived in State House. Okay, you had enough food. You had a warm bed to sleep in. So all that was there, but we never got that thing said, I'm the president's child. In fact, remember, I used to walk to school. Yeah. Especially walking back.
But you knew your dad was important at that age.
We knew he was president.
Or you were just oblivious to it.
No. We knew he was president.
Okay.
Because, there would be, okay, if you go to State House, there's what they call the ballroom. Yeah. It's a room from floor up to the ceiling of the State House. And on the second floor, okay, no, sorry, you're American. We're English. From the first floor, there's ground floor and then first floor. Yeah. There were two big windows that looked into the ballroom. And that's where they would have their cabinet meetings and also their Central Committee meetings. So we'd be naughty. We'd go, there were curtains covering those windows, right? But you could listen in. So we'd listen in and listen to the meetings that were going on. Yes. Because that's in the ballroom. So we knew that it was, we knew that those guys first, they fought for independence. Yeah. By the way, I have to tell you, because there were songs about it. Yes. They used to sing songs, and those songs sang into us. So we knew they were fighting for independence. Yes. And we knew who the enemy was. Yes. We knew that the white people were the enemy in So we knew that we had a stake in the game, that we needed to keep this independence even as we grow up. Yeah. So that was inculcated in us. Right. Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That gives us, takes us back in time and gives us a little bird's eye view. But another big part of Zambian history that your father was a part of is that during South Africa's apartheid.
Yes.
What a lot of people don't know is that a lot of their secret, safe meetings happened here in Zambia.
Yes.
So were you aware of that as a child?
Yes.
And how involved of an organizer was your dad for that? And where was his mind with regard to that? That he was clearly able to see outside the borders of his own country.
Yes.
So what do you remember about that you can share?
The first thing that he told us, first of all, one thing which sticks out, is that these leaders, the freedom fighters, they were friends. They would meet. They knew one another. And they had a vision that Africa would be one. Yes. They were not thinking of separate countries. For instance, he told us about a chat that he had with Patrice Lumumba when he was prime minister. Patrice Lumumba was telling my dad that, look, we are now becoming independent. Yeah. You guys will be independent just now. When you become independent, we should unite our countries. Those are words from Patrice Lumumba telling my father, and they agreed. Wow. So they were thinking like that. So they didn't think of themselves, okay, they had, those first ones, they had delinked themselves from the Berlin Conference borders. They didn't have those. Mm-hmm. Those were gone from their minds. Yes. They were going to become one. Yes. And the whole point, they said, of making sure that eventually all the countries would be united, that there would be an economic move, a united economic engine, especially. For like
Southern African.
It was supposed for the whole Africa. Remember, they spoke, they spoke with all those, the Nassas, Siad Barres, okay, Sekou Toures. Yes. They all talked. The Mandelas, yeah. Montlanes, okay, the Netos, okay, they all spoke together. Wow. The Nyereres, the Jomo Kenyattas, the Milton Obotes, they all spoke. They were one in terms of vision. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they had that. So that's why, as you said, when Zambia became independent, but the racist regimes were still there. Mm-hmm. It was not free. Zimbabwe, Botswana, Angola, Namibia, then it was called Southwest Africa, South Africa itself. Okay, they were not free yet. And that's why they said, no, a Zambian will not be free until everybody else is free. And the good thing about this is that the majority of Zambians, of course, then only 3 million, but the majority of Zambians believed in this. They said, we're in for the fight. We must free Africa. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They believed it. Mm-hmm. And that's why they welcomed people from Mozambique, Angola, Zimbabwe, yeah. South Africa. They were at home here in Zambia. Yeah. Okay? And they said, we're going to help you fight for your independence. Yeah. And this is why I take my hat off to the Chinese and the Russians, because they poured in a lot of support for us. I think I remember that the whole of ZAPU, that's because before they became united with ZANU-PF, they had a whole army, okay, furnished by the Russians. Yeah. They were a military force. Yeah. Okay.
There were existing staples in Africa and pre-colonialism. Yes. A lot of people don't know that. They think, okay, the Chinese are now interested in Africa. They were always in.
Well, okay. To be fair, we've all gone through transitions, and I know that the Chinese and the Russians who were there, different from the ones who are here today. That's normal. You have to reestablish relationships. But Putin was there, the current president of Russia now. He was operating from Mozambique, mm-hmm. in terms of operations. So it's not new to us. Yeah. So we must remember that. But the main thing is that Zambians were united in wanting a free, as you say, Southern African region. Yeah. And I remember I saw Joshua Nkomo in State House. Okay, I saw President. How can I forget the name? We didn't see Mandela, but I think Oliver Tambo, OR. He lives actually in State House. Yeah. There's a house near the Independence Avenue. Mm-hmm. There's a house there in State House. Mm-hmm. And that's where he lived with his wife. So we'd mix with them. Yeah. Okay, so we didn't see them as South Africans. We saw them as people fighting for independence.
So as a young Zambian boy who's not yet fully a teenager, you were exposed to all these other leaders, these clans. Yes. So it must have really set your mindset and frame to becoming a Pan-Africanist.
I am a Pan-Africanist, yes. And I remember that, of course, by the time we're seeing, by the time we're seeing the Tambos, the Tambo, I was already fairly old, so we're mixing. We knew what was going on then. Yes. Okay, but the main thing is that Zambians were committed to the freedom struggle, and they will tell you that a lot of people came in from the outside, these artificial borders. I consider them as artificial, and we lived together. I remember that when what time there was a bombing at Chikumbi, where the Rhodesians came and bombed, and South Africans, they bombed, and people got injured, and the hospital called for donation of blood. and Zambians went to donate blood at the hospital because they said, these are our people.
Yeah.
So there was enough blood to cater for the ones who were injured. So we felt one with them. And I remember that time that the connection between the leaders, that's why whatever you may say about your leaders, but Siad Barre we knew, okay? Nasser we knew, Arafat we knew,
Yeah.
okay? Okay, so West African leaders, we knew them because they would come here. Mm-hmm. Of course, I remember the Emperor Haile Selassie coming. He was very impressive. Mm-hmm. He wasn't a big man, but he had an aura about him that said Emperor of Ethiopia. So he came down. So we saw a lot of leaders. And I'll tell you what, we all had autograph books where these leaders would sign for us in our little books.
So whenever these
but
leaders
I don't know where
came,
they went.
It's probably somewhere in the house or in the State House.
Maybe somewhere. I remember when my dad was in the State House, they obviously they packed a lot of things, and a lot of things were left. Mm-hmm. But I remember we had a lot of books autographed by these important people.
Leaders, yes.
Even the Pope then also signed in our books.
Wow.
So we had that.
What a childhood. Did you attend any of these state dinners or so forth other than meeting them?
No, not I said. We just meet and spy on them from the windows I told you about.
Yes.
Yeah, so that, and of course, I would be introduced to many of them as the family. Mm-hmm. So we'd meet them as family and we'd greet.
So let's fast forward to your young adulthood as a young man.
As a young man.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are some key things that stand out that you feel so proud that your father accomplished?
I think what came out to me is that, I remember this because he wrote a book called The High Price of Principles. And I learned from him that he stood for what was right. Mm-hmm. He didn't care who was who. If it was wrong, it was wrong. And he always said that we want justice and fair play anywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. And that's why I remember that he played a huge role in the Commonwealth and in the non-aligned movement. They said they would support neither West nor East. Mm-hmm. They would be independent. Mm-hmm. They would form their own opinions. Mm-hmm. They would not choose sides on topic just because they trusted the Americans or the Russians. They stood on principle.
Yes.
So if America did wrong, they'd say, no, you've done wrong. For instance, we castigated them for the support of apartheid South Africa. Yeah. Okay, we said, what you're doing is wrong. What's happening there is wrong. It needs to change. Mm-hmm. And that's why finally, I think that they agreed between Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady, and Ronald Reagan. Finally, they came round that the Africans must take charge of their own destiny. Mm-hmm. They had to agree. And I must also pay homage to de Klerk, because he saw, amongst the whites, he saw quickly that change had to come. This thing apartheid could not continue
as it has.
The whites had to be free, the blacks had to be free. And one thing that they said, right? I remember my dad said that, this I remember. He said, we're not just fighting to free the black people. We're also fighting to free the white people from the shackles of apartheid in their heads. Mm-hmm. So there were those two things. That's what they were fighting for. Yes. They wanted a society that would work together and move forward together. Yes. Yeah. So I think that those were memorable. Yes. But also, I'll tell you something is that they were prepared to do this thing peacefully. I remember a time when the university students were also, I was young, they were saying, no, give us guns, we'll go and fight in Zimbabwe, in Rhodesia then. Give us guns, we'll go and fight. And they were very upset. I think either Zimbabwe or Angola, one of the two, but they said, and he said, you must know what war is. Okay? We must not spill blood unnecessarily. Yeah. Let's take the peaceful way. Yeah. It's harder, but the results are better. Remember Ian Smith, I told you from the window we spied, we saw Ian Smith coming to State House. Yeah. Okay? It wasn't a state visit, but he was there, we saw him. talking how the transitions would happen. So there were those back chats that would happen, okay? And I remember my brother also told me about a lot of white people would come from South Africa to talk to my dad. I didn't see them myself, but he saw them because I wasn't in cities all the time. But he saw them and he said they came to talk to Dad about how they would do the transition. Because I'm sure they were also fearful of what was going to come with black rule. Just as the black people want to become independent, the whites were also fearing their independence.
Yeah.
But I think that those discussions helped in bringing some comfort. Yeah, and I think there was the famous meeting at the bridge where finally it was agreed that we should move towards independence of South Africa. So all those, and of course there was the independence for Namibia.
Yeah.
That also, of course, there was more fight there.
Yeah.
But finally, people said we must talk, and that's the most difficult thing. But you don't negotiate. It's what I learned from my dad.
Yeah.
You don't need to negotiate with your friend, but you must negotiate with your enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it also reminded me to speed this thing. That's when I heard Rupia Banda, our president before Michael sat. I remember something that he said that reminded me of the objectives those days. He said that all wars end at the negotiating table. All wars end at the negotiating table. So he said, why don't we begin with the table first and put the war aside? Yeah, and I think that obviously you must feel that pain because your country has been through a lot of struggles. Okay, and
I need a picture of Somalia.
So yes, I'm talking about Somalia, yes, not America. Although I've also got your struggles there, but Somalia has been through a lot. But I've always thought that Somalia is a friend of Zambia. Some of the things I told you, Zambians need to know that when the going got rough, when there was a thing called the Hell Run, I remember that. Okay, I was young, but remember, the road between Kapiri and Dar es Salaam was dirt road, mud. And then the road for exports were closed in terms of South Africa and Zimbabwe and Rhodesia then. So there was no way for African Zambian goods to use the rail going to Port Elizabeth to go and offload, or Durban to go and offload our goods and bring in imports. There was nothing like that. Fuel was being brought in by planes at one point. But we made the call to our fellow Africans, we need help to bring in these goods. And I have to say this, not because you're Somalian, but it happened, or you're half and half, sorry. So Somalian drivers, Kenyan drivers, Tanzanian drivers, they came. And I remember the Somalians, because they had these special Fiat trucks, flat nose, they would export our copper and our goods and bring in the imports we needed. And that road was bad. I mean, you guys, you drive on this third road and think everything was like that. No, it was mud.
Yeah.
And trucks would negotiate those hills. If you've been through the Ringa hills, you know how tough it was. Because if you think that Chirundu hills are bad, you should see those hills. And that was just mud.
Yeah.
So those guys drove those trucks up and down, feeding the country.
Somalis, since the beginning of time today, are known as determined tradesmen.
They were good. They were good.
Determined tradesmen.
Yeah. So when you Zambians see the descendants of Somalians, don't think that those are ours. They are our people. They helped us when we needed help the most.
Yes.
And also I have to mention one thing also, because these are things that I remember that young people don't know. The Chinese built us that Tazara Railroad. Okay, the Uhuru Railroad was called the Uhuru Railroad. Now, what happened is that we told the Western countries, the IMF, the World Bank, we said, the routes down south are closed off. We need a route through Tanzania. And they said it's not economically viable. We can't build it. There's no point in building it.
Yeah.
We asked them, and they said no.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know why. So we went to Chairman Mao, leader of the Chinese.
Yeah.
And we said, when I say we, I mean Nyerere and Kaunda went.
Yeah.
But we as a collective Zambia. So we asked him, he said, we need a railroad. We need a way out. And he said, look, you guys, we don't have money to spare, but we will build you a railroad. And they built us a railroad. Chinese came and they built us a railroad.
Yeah.
Talk about Belt and Road, eh?
Yeah.
That was the first one.
Yes.
So they built it and worked together, and we then began shipping our goods. But yes, so we shouldn't forget our history. Whatever is business about the Chinese, that's what they did. And Chinese died here on our soil in that exercise.
Yeah.
So we must pay homage to that. If there are problems exist now, we must talk them through.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that what has happened, and this is of concern to all of us, is that, I would say, there have been transitions in our society. Okay, now, I don't want to feel bad when I say it, or I don't want Zambians to feel bad, but what has happened is that in terms of the economy, this has nothing to do with politics, but in terms of the economy, there's been no improvement for the person we call the common man. Mm-hmm. Okay, and always I've got my reasoning, and other people have got their reasoning. But I think that we, the people who are better off than the Zambians, we are white men in black skins. Because our brothers are still living in the compounds. They're still suffering in the so-called townships. Okay, so the whites left, but then the black-white Zambians are still perpetuating that system. Yeah. The original intention was to uplift everybody. Yeah, and that has not yet happened.
But there's still room for that to happen as well.
There is no choice.
Yes.
Look, you've got enough warnings. I don't know if you see it. You see, we've built walls around our homes for security. Yeah. So now, when people jump over the walls, I'm not excusing that, but when people jump over the walls to come and steal things, okay? Some of them is a sort of hunger. It's
desperation.
But what is that telling you? It's saying that
poverty
if we don't stop this growing gap between the rich and the poor, and it's not me saying it, FAO report 2018 said it. It said the gap between the rich and the poor is growing in the Southern African region. It's growing exponentially. So this is telling you, if we don't find the solution to this poverty issue, this education issue, this ignorance issue, if we don't, then there will be a revolution here. It is coming. When you see people, it's like a trickle from a dam is breaking, right? It begins as a trickle, and then it bursts.
Yeah,
then you can't control
it.
That's
in history of what you've seen.
So, yes, so you need to repair. While the holes are still small, we need to repair that. Yeah. We had a dream. Back then, I remember when I was a kid, they said, our dream is that every child should have an egg every morning. Okay? That was saying that families must be employed well enough that they must afford food for their kids. But that has not happened yet. Okay? We want to go into the political, this is not a political discussion that we're having, but I'm just saying, as a social thing, we must be aware that people are desperately poor. People are hungry. Yeah. So we need to do things to have interventions with that, because originally...
And it starts with having the dialogue and the discussions about it.
Yes, we must, yes.
Speaking on the reality of
absolutely.
What exists.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's a good point you share with us.
Yeah, you see, you said a problem must be recognized before you can think of solving it. Yes. And that is the reality. So people are jumping over the walls. No matter how high you build your walls, the revolution will come. Unless you can do something about it.
No, we're going to have to do something about that.
Let's work together with it.
Everyone do their part. Just
and
5 more minutes. Huh? 5 minutes? Okay, 5 minutes. Okay. So if I can get to one more question. What in short, what is the story behind the white handkerchief that your dad
The white handkerchief.
carried? The infamous white handkerchief.
Yes, the white handkerchief had a cross inside, okay, and it was a symbol for peace.
Symbol for peace.
Yeah, yeah, the special for holding it. But there's a cross inside and there's a symbol for peace.
Yes.
Yeah, and he believed in peace. he believes, he said, fighting won't get you anywhere.
Yes.
You must talk things through.
Fantastic.
So you must remember that.
TJ Kaunda, I wish we had more time to chat, but we'll get together again. I feel like we should sing the national anthem. Actually, can we do that? Let's do the national anthem together.
Maybe those guys. I don't sing, by the way. I'll just.
You don't know? You can hum it with me.
I'll hum
do
with
it.
you. Okay, you do it.
I'll do it. I'm sitting with the son of the founder of Zambia. I feel the need to sing the national anthem, at least for a few minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
Please do. Yeah. Ah, there you go.
Come on, you guys in the studio.
Yes, all 7.
Unity, victors in the struggle for our rights. We won freedom's fight, all one, strong and free. Africa is our own motherland. Nothing we can best with God's good hand. As for our people join as one, fathers under the sun, all one, strong and free. And then one nation is our cry. Dignity and peace lead Zambia's heart. Like a noble eagle in its flight. Okay, that's all we got for now.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, TJ,
Thank you.
for being
Thank you, Dr. Ayan.
a part of my program, and I hope to invite you again, and we have further
we have a saying which still continues now. The struggle continues.
The struggle continues.
Until its logical conclusion.
Amen.
Yeah. So whenever I write to you, as we do things, I'll be writing to you. When I sign off, I sign yours in the common struggle. Then that's how my letters will come to you.
Aw, thank you so much. It was
Thank
a pleasure.
you. Pleasure was mine. Pleasure was mine. Thank you.
And I like how we're both wearing the same color.
Yes, like we planned. It wasn't planned. No, it wasn't planned.
It wasn't planned. Thank you so much.
Sing of Zambia, proud and free, land of work and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for the right. We won freedom's fight, oh one, strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, fashioned with and blessed by those who blend. Let us, all our people, join as one, brothers under the sun, oh one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry, dignity and peace in Zambia's sky, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, oh one, strong and free. Praise be to God.